I mean, I just don't see how blaming the coach for all of this is going to fix everything. Whoever that head coach is next season, if it still is Luke or if it's someone else, what do they need from that position? I'm
actually going to audible. I want to hear from the Laker expert. Ramona knows more about what's happening in there than anyone else.
Well, we have a whole Ramona topic after this, but you can start with her. Absolutely.
Ramona, I want to hear your answer to this question.
You need the Lakers need to have a coach that has a cohesion with the front office. And Jeannie Buss has made it very clear that she is going to let Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka make this final decision. So she's letting her basketball people make the basketball decision. Luke Walton and Magic Johnson have not spoken for weeks.
I want you to repeat that when there's not video rolling.
This is why I let Ramona talk first, ladies and gentlemen.
If they don't have that working relationship to the point where it's been weeks since you've had a meaningful conversation.
Say that again to the people, please.
Luke Walton and Magic Johnson have not spoken for weeks. That's a problem. Okay, and I know the season has been over for a long time. They're not going to make the playoffs. But if you're in a position where the head coach and the front office, the general manager, the president of basketball operations are not in lockstep, if there's not a trust, if there's not a relationship there that has had 2 years to build, then what are you doing as an organization? I mean, I know there is a separation between church and state sometimes because the front office has to make decisions that the coach may disagree with, right? And they need deniability. That's why when Doc Rivers was both, it didn't work, right? The players know that he could trade them. But this is different. You need to have an alignment between coach and front office, at least organizationally, because there needs to be a trust. There needs to be a trust there. And I think when you look at the good organizations in this league, and I'll point to the Golden State Warriors, where Luke came from, and they're the gold standard right now. Bob Myers and Steve Kerr are on the same page. Steve Kerr is not worried about if I don't play this guy, I'm getting fired tomorrow. Nobody's worried about if I advocate for that person, who's going to get blamed. Like if I don't advocate for that person, is it going to be put on me? Those types of conversations and feelings are not what exist in winning cultures. And I think Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka need to hire whoever they are going to hire that they are in step with, because that level of trust, when it does not exist, it's dysfunctional at a whole new level.
God, we work with great people. They already have.
Look at the
already up there.
Producer Danny and producer Steve are on it.
You know what? I think they should win an Emmy or something.
Please speak now.
So, first of all,
because you've worked in a front office.
That's insane. Even if you're going to fire the guy tomorrow, it's insane that they haven't spoken. How do you run a team and not speak to your coach? How do you know? Let's just assume Luke's not the guy, right? I still want to know what's happening in my locker room. I still want his input because he's there every single day. And the idea that you don't even speak to him, that's ridiculous. You're saying championship organizations, the coach and the front office are lockstep. Merely functional organizations, the coach has to talk to the front office. I mean, the idea that they haven't spoken is nuts. You detailed it very well. What happened this season is out of Luke's purview. So I'm not going to say this answer to the questions you asked. What should the next Lakers coach have? Not answering this as these are shortcomings of Luke, right? This has nothing to do with Luke.
It could be Luke. I didn't say the next Lakers coach. Whoever coaches next season, they've got to dig themselves out. Next season has to be better than this.
They haven't spoken to him in weeks. It's not him. America, it's not going to be him. Like, I love Luke, but this means it's not going to be him in the worst, most deliberate, blatant way. So whoever comes in next, number one, obviously, has to have buy-in from the front office. You can't have power without backing. Greg Popovich is the best coach ever. A lot of it is because he's got the power behind him. Eric Spoelstra, championship-winning coach. A lot of it because he has the power behind him.
I know, we saw very dramatically Pat Riley backed up Eric Spoelstra.
Exactly. Steve Kerr, Brad Stevens, all the great coaches, Rick Carlisle, that people respect in this league, they all have the backing of their front. No one stands alone.
And the players know it.
Yes, that's the whole point.
So when you're navigating the Anthony Davis trade discussions, if Luke Walton is the guy in there talking to the players saying, this is how we got to soldier on, don't worry about what you're reading, you just got to be a professional, that's nice. But if they don't feel like he's got the backing from the front office,
you ain't even gonna be here next. Like if they feel like that, then there's no point. He could say whatever, and they don't care because his word carries no weight, right? So that's number one. Number two, I think the LeBron thing is very important. That it's someone he respects, and respects doesn't mean like, hey, I'll just do what you want, LeBron. It means I can talk to you when you're not doing the right thing. That's something that I talked to David Griffin and Ty Lue and Damon Jones and all these guys that were at the Cavs. The main thing was the guys that connected with LeBron were the ones who would tell him, yo, you're full of it right now. And
what is Ty Lue's big moment as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers? Game 7.
Right, he called LeBron out
After the first half, and LeBron had a pretty darn good first half,
Yep.
but it wasn't historically great. And he said, I need more from you.
Yep, absolutely. And there were several times kind of leading up to that as well. Ty Lue is certainly a name being mentioned, although Ty Lue did a very classy thing and called Luke Walton as soon as his name came up in these rumors about the Lakers and said, hey, I want to let you know, no one from Lakers called me, and if they did, I would tell them someone has the job.
Right.
If it opens up, call me then, that sort of thing, which I thought was very big on his part, something we haven't seen with everybody. I mean, look, your point about, oh, no one's spoken, I mean, it's amazing. Now, the Lakers, I would bet, would answer you, Ramona, and say, hey, Rob Pelinka's the GM.
Yeah,
and
he's
perhaps
there, and I'm sure they've spoken.
That sort of thing. But I'm with you guys. I mean, that's why I said, say it for the camera. Like, Magic Johnson runs that organization. He's the president.
You're the boss.
He's around. He's at games. He's in the tunnel right behind the Laker bench. So to me, if you are building a culture, and we use that word all the time in the NBA, if you're building a culture, you just got to have the guy that you feel comfortable with, right?
Also,
and if you don't have a relationship where you're speaking every day and you're not in lockstep and you're doing this together, that's not the right fit.
That's the highest level one. But again, I think even from a functional level, you don't get to put the culture on pause because he ain't going to be here. Culture is culture.
Yeah, right.
If you're going to be here tomorrow or not, we do things the same way over and over again. And that right there, that's bad.
This goes back to my original point. You can go change the coach. That's their prerogative. They can go do that. But I don't see most of what went wrong this season on being on Luke Walton's doorstep. And just because you change who's behind that door doesn't change all of the other stuff. So.